Porsche may have earned its fantastic reputation through its sports cars, but when it comes to earning money, they're not the models that really do the business. Instead, the biggest selling Porsche around the world is the Cayenne. So it's little wonder that when the company wanted to expand its sales, it chose to attack a different part of the SUV market. Hence the appearance of this new model, the Macan. Based on the same platform as the Audi Q5, it's a baby brother for the Cayenne. A 5-door 4x4 that's billed by the company as nothing less than the sports car among compact SUVs. Because it's smaller and cheaper than the Cayenne, the theory is that it will make Porsche ownership more accessible to more people and attract new customers to the brand. And if the initial experience in Germany is anything to go by, that's exactly what will happen. This car has just gone on sale there, and over half of the customers have never owned a Porsche before. It's absolutely clear the designers have made the Macan look very like Porsche's iconic sports cars. But the question is, with its 5 doors, relatively low price and Audi genes, is this still a real Porsche? To find out, I've come to some of my favourite driving roads in South Wales. And to cut a long story short, yes, this absolutely is a proper Porsche. We're in the diesel, which is actually the least powerful model in the range. Although it has to make do with a mere 250 odd horsepower, it still gives blistering performance. But what really sets this car apart from other SUVs is how it goes round corners. This particular model has a couple of really important options: adaptive dampers and air suspension. And together they combine to produce a car that is way more agile than any SUV has any right to be. In fact, it messes with your head. Your brain's telling you, I'm sat in a couple of tons worth of SUV, and all the sensations through your fingers and seat, your pants are saying, no, you're in a sports car. And there's just something about it that doesn't compute. So it's absolutely to Porsche's credit, they produced a car that gives you all those sensations. Amazing car, really very impressive. Oh, but yes, I hear you say, Porsche building a car that's fantastic to drive. That's hardly front page news, is it? And if I'm honest, I have to agree, even when that car in question is an SUV. So much to my disappointment, I'm going to have to leave this glorious scenery and these fantastic roads in South Wales and head back home to southwest London, where this car will face its toughest challenge. But I've got an idea for a couple of detours on the way though. Having torn ourselves away from the wonderful Welsh mountain roads, we're cruising back towards London, and the sports car we were in earlier seems to have morphed miraculously into a luxury car. The ride's smooth and there's precious little wind or road noise to talk of. I could easily imagine myself driving home for hundreds of miles in this without a care in the world. But I'm not going to though, so I want to break my journey back to London with a couple of sightseeing trips. And my first stop is Bristol. Why Bristol, you might ask? Well, the answer is really simple. I want to take a good while to drive around the city and have a good look at their attitude to public art. The council has a constantly evolving programme of temporary and permanent artworks. And as we've driven around the city, we've seen everything from huge silver balls to bears on roundabouts, even something which, the rather poor art critic in me describes as exploding Olympic rings. It turns what could be an otherwise identikit city into something unique and truly special. What I really love about it is that just as the Macan takes something really aspirational, owning a Porsche, and makes it more accessible and more affordable, so the council have made these amazing works of art available not just to more people, but to everyone. This is undoubtedly one of the highlights of the city. Called See No Evil on Nelson Street, it's one of the largest outdoor art galleries in the entire world. It was started in 2011 when the local council worked with some local music producers to bring together street artists from all around the world. Together, they worked on the facades of 10 multi-storey buildings, turned what was described as a depressing, ugly and run-down street into something vibrant and exciting that sits happily in the very heart of this city. The Macan too is perfectly happy in this environment. If I thought that sharp handling would translate into something that was a bit of a pig around town, I couldn't have been more wrong. On the contrary, in fact, with that really strong engine, super smooth gearbox and start-stop system, it's really easy to get around town. And of course you're very much helped by the fact you're sitting that little bit higher than the other traffic, so you get that higher view, a better view out that's part and parcel of an SUV's appeal. Of course, one of the other main attractions of an SUV is four-wheel drive, and that's what we're off to test next.
When you feel like you're stuck in a rut.
We've continued our journey eastwards from Bristol and we're headed for Marlborough, where we're going to pick up the Ridgeway. It's an ancient track that's been used by people for literally thousands of years. Nowadays, it's an 85-mile national trail that runs from Wiltshire to Buckinghamshire. However, only certain sections of it can be driven along. So to show us the way, we're joining Tom Parks from 4x4 Adventure Tours.
They're really open to any 4x4 owner. We either run a mixture of either SUV vehicles, which is the Freelanders, Evokes, Porsches, etc., or we have a Discovery and we take people in Discoveries and Defenders. It gets you right out into the countryside. It's beautiful countryside in Wiltshire. And one of the beautiful things about driving off-road is you do come across many things like deer or buzzards or rabbits or lots of wildlife. Foxes, all sorts of things.
We may only be travelling at a fraction of the speed we were earlier today, but I find this every bit as thrilling. I find it amazing to think we're here in a piece of cutting-edge 21st century technology on a road that's been used for the best part of 4,000 or 5,000 years. And even if you're not into history as much as I am, who wouldn't want to come and be part of scenery like this? No one will pretend that the Ridgeway presents the toughest off-road challenge, but I was hugely impressed with what the Macan is capable of. And it's all the more remarkable when you remember this is exactly the same car that was blasting across a Welsh mountainside earlier today. I guess the point of the Macan is that it allows you to get out there, gives you the freedom to enjoy yourself in whatever way you fancy. It's certainly something to mull over as we find our way back to the M4 and head back to London. Mind you, first stop's going to have to be a car wash. Now as I'm heading home and the end of my journey, there's a bit of a nagging doubt in the back of my mind that I haven't quite pushed the Macan to its absolute limits. Yes, I know it'll blast across the Welsh mountains like a sports car, cruise along the motorway like a luxury car, and even cope with a little bit of light off-roading. But the crucial question is, how will it cope with that most frightening of challenges? Everyday life. What I'm about to do will probably send a shiver down the spine of half the population. To see how this car works as a family car, I'm going to take my wife and 4-month-old daughter shopping. And while there's nothing wrong with them per se, this car won't face a pair of sterner critics. The The biggest challenge that any family car faces is space. And actually the Macan, although it's not the biggest car in its class, it's big enough. We managed to get the two bits of the pram into the boot, and what really helps loading Lily and her child seat onto the back seat is that it sits that little bit higher off the ground, so actually I haven't got to lean down to drop the seat into place, so actually it's keeping my back nice and safe, which is always a welcome feature in any car. And despite that swooping roofline in the back, I didn't have to duck down too much to get the seat in either. So actually, so far, good marks as a family car, very impressive.
Nice, I can really see out. It's, you know, it's great height, seats are comfortable. I think it's quite high up, which I think she likes. She's looking about.
What's rather less impressive is actually the visibility out of this car when you're in something like an underground car park like this is really quite restricted. I can't judge very well where the front of the car is, where the sides of the car is, and if it wasn't for this reversing camera here, I'd be having real difficulty getting into the car parking space. So that's not quite so impressive. It would be a bit of a problem for me as a family car, that.
It's really nice driving that round town. We fitted everything that we needed in, you know, the pram went in, the shopping went in. But it's occurred to me that if you wanted to go on holiday, you wouldn't fit 2 adults worth of luggage in as well. And it might be a bit tricky when the baby's older because she'll get more and more stuff.
At the end of this drive, I've come out really impressed with what Porsche's created with the Macan. Okay, so it's perhaps not the greatest family car in its class, but it does have a sports car in its genes, a luxury car, it's even a pretty decent off-roader too. This really is a multi-purpose vehicle and a jack of all trades. Really impressed.